Welcome back to movementprofessional.com. So this is video 2 in a response to a question I had on YouTube regarding shoulder pain with overhead pressing. So again, because that's a broad topic, I started with video 1 just discussing the general anatomy around the shoulder and what you often see that gets injured or gets painful and what muscles we might want to think about activating or engaging to combat those painful areas. So first, the second video, what I'm going to do is work with a barbell and just describe some of the cueing to think about engaging that anatomy that I talked about in the first video. Alright, so normally you may take the bar off the rack, but just for the sake of the video here, I'm just going to use this light bar to describe what we're thinking of here. So we're going to try to find a grip in which we can have our wrists not be too extended. So if we look at this from the side, you don't want the wrist to be extended that way because it's hard to create this general torque on it. So I want the bar to be as low in the palm as I can without it feeling like it's slipping down. And then to create the engagement of the external rotators, the idea is I'm going to think about breaking the bar by moving my hands inward this way. What's really important is a pressure point on the pinky side of the hand. You're trying to drive the pinky side of the lower hand into the bar as you're trying to create that torque there. All right, so that's going to create a supination moment in the forearm, but it should also create an external rotation moment in the shoulder. So just doing this as a drill where you're keeping the glutes active, the abs active, and trying to break the bar until you feel the back of the shoulder start to activate. What you don't want to do is squeeze the shoulder blades together because that's going to take you away from external rotation, and instead that's going to bring you into retraction, and they're two separate things. But the two often get confused for each other. So it's really just keeping a more neutral ribcage position, feeling tightness here, tightness in the glutes, and then just trying to create that sense of the back of the shoulders are getting active. When the back of the shoulders get more active, it tends to naturally pull the shoulders down away from the ears. So again, we're trying to stay away from the idea of shrugging or being in a position where the shoulder is close to the ear throughout the press, or especially at the beginning, but even as we get to the top. So the idea of creating that torque on the bar, feeling the back of the shoulder engage. Creating that torque should also bring the inside arm closer to the body here, which will start to engage the lats, as the lats are adductors. So I'm bringing the arm a little bit closer there. So it's a combination of external rotation and adduction and scapular depression, where I'm thinking shoulders stay down while I maintain abdominals and I maintain glutes. So once I have that locked in my setup, I don't want to lose that, and then I just want to try to keep the bar as close as possible as I go up. If I move the bar away from me on my path, that's creating leverage, and that's going to load the front of my shoulder. So that's another area that commonly gives you pain. So it could be the bicep tendon, it could be a combination of things, too much anterior deltoid. So just to make it a more efficient path, we want to keep things as close to the body, almost skimming the nose as you come up, trying to keep that torque on the bar, trying to keep the activity that you created down here as you go up, and then thinking about these forearms staying as vertical as possible. So you can think of them as perpendicular to the ground. If the elbows start to go out, you've lost your external rotation torque, and you've likely lost a lot of your muscle activity that you're looking for. All right, so you just try to keep that path. When you get to the top, the bar should be balanced atop your head, and you're trying to keep that torque as much as you can that you've created. You're trying to make sure that you're not overextending through the lumbar spine. So there's another common compensation that's seen that can lead to shoulder pain, because as the lumbar spine moves forward, it moves the whole rib cage forward. It changes the whole dynamics with the scapula being stable on the rib cage. So ideally, you want to think about the scapula staying pretty much on the rib cage and moving up it, not the rib cage moving forward away from the scapula. And that's what happens when we overextend to try to get the bar overhead. So make sure you're locked in your core, make sure your glutes are locked in. The thought of pressing up is push your feet down through the ground, keep this vertical forearm, keep that torque. Okay, so torque on the bar, you got external rotators, back of the shoulder, lats underneath, try to maintain that up and down as much as possible, and you'll have a better chance of having less pain with overhead pressing. We'll do a third video where we look at kettlebell pressing or unilateral pressing, because there's some different cueing to be used with that. See you next time.